to the people of Baltimore and the demonstrators across America. I heard your call for no justice, no peace. Your peace is sincerely needed as I work to deliver justice on behalf of this young man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, who could forget that? And as she overcharged and I believe mishandled this whole case, we have the first court ruling. It's actually a mistrial declared in the first officer involved in the Freddie Gray murder case, Officer William Porter, who was the first one put on trial. The jury had come back yesterday, day before. Judge said keep working, and today a mistrial. And joining us now to talk about it is Deborah Blum, criminal defense attorney based in New York, and Geoffrey Nathan, criminal defense attorney based in Boston. All right, let's start with you, Deborah. You know, there's a lot of people who said that this was mishandled, that she overcharged, and that there was so much riding on this first conviction because then they would probably cut a deal with him or lessen his penalty if he was found guilty, and he would turn state's witness against the driver of the van. But he's still a criminal defendant, and he can't incriminate himself, so he can't testify in that second trial. There's a lot going on here.
Well, it's probably going to push back the other officers' trials. What's really interesting here is that the judge did not have the jury continue to deliberate and just declared a hung jury today. I'm surprised that he didn't ask the jurors to continue deliberating. And this officer was not the driver. So I don't know that he was necessarily overcharged. It's a question of whether you think the officers should have been charged. But what they did, going for a rough ride with this individual shackled, is very, very upsetting.
All right, well, Geoffrey, he was charged with manslaughter, assault, and reckless endangerment and misconduct in office. And basically what they said was when the deceased asked for help, I mean, he relayed it to the driver, but they're basically saying because you didn't seat buckle him in, that this is why you're being charged with manslaughter, yet it's almost never, ever, ever done, and it's not taught to those cops to seat buckle in that kind of a van. So that might be one reason for the mistrial, but also you have a very racially mixed jury, and I wonder what you think about that. You have, on the men, 3 African Americans, 2 white, and on the women, 4 African Americans and 3 white. We may find out it broke down along racial lines somehow.
I'm not so certain it's a racially divided thing. I think it was just the facts didn't warrant a guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. They had him on, you know, sort of a civil negligence is what they had, and they threw the book at him, and it backfired big time. And as a consequence, they got to make a decision. Are they really going to go forward and retry him again? They're saying they're going to do it on Thursday. I think they got to take a step back and say, you know, do we really have a charge? It's awful hard to put a cop in jail. Let me tell you, it's next to impossible. It's not going to fly. It's not going to work. They're going to go after the driver and call it a day.
But Deborah, you know, they didn't even get him on the misconduct charge. They were deadlocked on all 4 charges. So I think they're back in court tomorrow, and the prosecution has to decide whether or not they're going to retry him.
Well, they've put this city through a lot with the death of Freddie Gray and now with this trial. So it's a question of whether they want to continue. They might make him a plea deal, or his defense attorney might say no way. And it is interesting because he was going to be a material witness in the other trials. So now those are going to have to be pushed back. He did try to point blame at the driver. So there's a lot still up in the air here.
Yeah, and Geoffrey, I mean, if it's true that, you know, they weren't taught or instructed to seatbelt a defendant or a suspect in, I should say, when they arrest them into that kind of a van, into a police car, yes, but not that kind of a van, then, you know, then where's the case here?
Well, what the defense really got out was the fact that the decedent had an awful background. He was a criminal all the time. He's a punk and no good, and as a consequence...
Wait a minute, I thought everyone, first of all, that doesn't enter into the case. I would imagine Deborah's going to say incorrectly, but I thought all these people, whether it's Trayvon Martin or Michael Brown, I thought they're all, you know, high school graduates wearing their cap and gowns.
No, you got to have, these are real trials with real people and real facts, and if the guy's a the jurors are going to learn about it, and as a consequence, Baltimore's probably better off without Freddie.
Wow,
we got to watch our language.
Statement.
Deborah, go ahead. Final word, Deborah. Go ahead.
That's an extremely strong statement, and the Baltimore police were actually supposed to seatbelt those who they detained. So no matter how a individual is behaving, they should be treated with respect when they are arrested.
All right, and finally, how much do you think, if any, the actions of the woman who we heard from at the beginning here, Marilyn Mosby, played into juries' thinking, Geoffrey?
I think that what she's doing is she would be best off just putting a muzzle on herself, frankly. She hasn't served her city well. She ought to just take a step back.
All right. Deborah?
I think that she is trying to be a voice for her community and say we have to end violence.
All right. All right. We will pick this up another time, I'm sure, as they decide whether or not to retry and the other trials go forward. Thank you both. More of the Malzberg Show coming up. Don't go away.